Yo, so I'm back. Yeah, like I said, I had to go back to my old videos and really make sure I was in the right area. So, my last video was chapter 4. Now we go on chapter 5, 6, 7, and what else? 7 and 8. All right. So, yeah, like I said, I've been taking my time with it. I haven't really been rushing, you know. I really wanted to soak up the information that WEB was saying. And I have to say, like I said before, WEB was a smart man. The car kind of loud. He was a smart man, and you know what I'm saying. You can't really like debate that. Like, he's super smart, but he also have a way of kind of like bouncing around with his ideas and stuff like that. But through my breakdowns, I'm gonna kind of explain why I think he did that specifically. And yeah, I wrote down I got a bunch of notes. So chapter 5 is basically WEB call to action. He sees that we needed more black colleges, and once again, he values education. He even say that white Southerners should come together and build them. He also knows that not every person has the same values or have the same gifts. So basically, building this thing, this better outcome, you must lean into your skill. So I wrote this a little earlier. So with that being said, like, basically that each person has something special about them. Not everybody is going to want to become an engineer. Not everybody wants to become a doctor or whatever the case may be, but we all kind of got different gifts that we are naturally just good at, and he think that people should go within those gifts. Um, and then I even wrote, even if we looking past the black community and just building community, you gotta let people play within their strengths. This chapter was like 4 pages, so that's basically the bulk of what I picked up out of chapter 5. So chapter 6 got a little more interesting, and it's called The Training of Black Men. And this is the chapter that slowed me down from kind of like really like getting past the book, because like I said, WEB, he's so smart that sometimes what he's saying come off as like poetic. And so you gotta really like decipher this shit. And honestly, when you look at it, it's 100 years. It's 100 years and some change since he wrote this book. So, you know, I ain't gonna lie. Like, if you even look at some of the videos of the 60s and stuff like that, you see like a Fred Hampton. He's 20 something, 20, sounding like he 40 something years old. Malcolm X, you see his videos, you could tell like how intelligent they were for back in those days. James Baldwin, all those people, like, you could just see it and hear it, like, dang, they really was, really educated. So, you know what I'm saying, the further you kind of go back, you could see like the people that were educated and it wasn't really that hard to, what I'm saying, tell. You could just like, oh, this person's smart. So just reading this, I feel like WEB, like, if we was able to hear him talk, you would probably be like, oh yeah, nah, this, yeah, for sure. He got some degrees. You might say something like that. Um, but yeah, the chapter is called "The Training of Black Men." He starts off with three mindsets of enslavers. Now, I don't know if it was like enslavers in general or if it was just like three different mindsets, but he specifically said like as the slave ships came to Jamestown. So he kind of set it up like that. So I just went for enslavers, but you know what I'm saying, let me know if I'm off with this. The first thought is to one, get everybody else on their program, even to the point of going to different places to bridge the gap between other countries or culture lands is what he said, to basically fit their vision and their way to live. He say, to be sure, behind this thought lurks the afterthought of force and dominion. So basically, like, you know, get on our program. And you know, I think you kind of see it with how kind of like capitalism work today. You see how like we kind of forcing people to get onto our program, and even in other countries that may have their own way of living, but you know, behind just us like saying like, oh yeah, come rock with us and how we do our thing and stuff like that, it is kind of like a hierarchy to that. Like you want for the people that's running the country, you know, they might use like some of these shock words like communism, you know, socialist ideals and stuff like that to kind of close your mind on what we actually are doing out there in the world and stuff like that. And you know, a lot of it is, you know, domination and force that's kind of like being that's kind of being pushed. And I mean, you know, if we don't do it, maybe, you know, somebody else is trying to do the same thing, but we also have to just call a spade a spade. The second thought is just full on racism, believing that God made the Negro to be 3/5 of a human and having the urge to stop black men from maturing and becoming man. Basically, what he said, like a veil over them so thick that they won't even think about breaking through. And that's that's some you know, really like thought-provoking stuff too. Like it's that some of the stuff that he's talking about back then is still kind of like some shit that we going through now. And like I said, when I first started this review of this book, is like, it's not even just all like, it's called The Souls of Black Folk, but it don't have to be just for black people. You could take this and put it on just the average man. You know what I'm saying? Like where we at right now, you know, they want us to kind of be in this place where we don't even, where our needs are met, or not even our needs are met, but it's just so comforting to be to live your life that, you know, some people don't even care about, you know, other shit that's going on within the world, shit that's possibly going on in their communities, just all types of shit. And you know, it's like we got these phones in our hands, but sometimes we could be so comforted that we don't even bother looking at the other shit that's actually going on. And you know, for me, I feel like, you know, I'm getting better at it, but it's only so much time you have in a day to really understand what's going on. But on top of that, if you big on social media and stuff like that, you know, it's only there to captivate like your certain senses like that. It's not really made for you to really be thinking, and if you're not controlling that, you know what I'm saying, you would fucking go off and, you know, 3-4 hours doom scrolling, whatever the case. And you know, I like I said, I'm a person that go through that, and it's just crazy that he talking about it in this, you know, in back then, but now it's just perfected. You know what I'm saying? 100 years ago, now it's perfected to where, like, you know, we're getting closer to some dystopian shit because we got all the information in our hands. But then again, some may say it's too much information because, you know, sometimes it's hard to figure out like what source is correct. And I mean, we got AI to kind of help you, you know, filtrate some of this shit. But it's always, we always getting hit by someone's propaganda, and that's something that I was looking at a person named 19 Keys. I brought him up a couple of times, but it's just something to think about, especially in 2025. The third and the last thought are the people who become confused and start to think that we are what they say we are. And I think this last part is more about black people itself. I may be wrong, but that's just what I picked up from when I read it myself. Like, we start to think that we are the thugs, we are the murderers, we are the criminals, less of a man. He basically say this is what why it's important to train a black man. Now, I gotta reread that, but that's kind of like what I got from it. But like I said, he was so poetic with it that maybe I went the wrong way with it. But that's what I picked up from that chapter. And it's more, mind you, look, I'm not a devout Christian. I'm raised in a Christian family. I do believe there is a God. I believe, you know, it's a creator. Like, a lot of this shit is so beautiful, so perfect. Like, it's hard to deny that somebody or something put us here and kind of, like, you know what I'm saying, create an environment for us to be here. But to me, like, I hear a lot of like the Nation of Islam in that last statement, and it says, and then he even say, like, if we don't develop these men, we risk losing them through poverty and loss. And like I said, like, the Nation of Islam, I think, like, I see a lot of people, like, when you think about a Malcolm, he started one way and then he ended up becoming who he was off the strength of kind of getting into a program and being kind of corrected in his ways. And you know, that's a beautiful thing. So yeah, I don't, you know, I maybe not train a black man, but, you know what I'm saying, it's important to get educated and get this information. And I said right here at the bottom, WEB really goes back to higher education in this chapter, and he starts by pointing out that overall conditions of schools and how a lot of black schools at the time weren't in the best conditions Then he went on to say, we need higher education spaces for black Southerners, specifically for the ones that want it. This is also the first chapter he uses the talented 10th phrase, which he's known for. He basically wanted the South to prioritize building an infrastructure to develop the intellectuals of the South. He see that majority of the white Southerners wants a workforce and not people who are on par with them in every facet. So basically, he calls out some of the people in the South who want to kind of keep people uneducated. And like I said, nowadays it's not even just like, black people. I think in general, the people at the top, they want us uneducated. They want us educated enough to get by and consume and be able to read and shit, but we not getting the actual information needed to be able to push forward. You know what I'm saying? And then even when you try to go get the information, like let's just say you hop on YouTube, for instance. The way it's set up in the algorithm, a lot of these videos and shit like that, it's kind of like set to grab your attention versus giving you some good ass information. And on some of this shit, it's just like, it's more the attention grabby shit instead of really giving you some shit that you could have just searched up. So, out here they usually say like, game is not told, it's sold. So you gotta probably hop on a fucking Discord or hop on some other shit to actually get the information. So it's like you got a bunch of people who they saying like they want to give you the information, but they not really giving you the information. And then you got the people who really got the information at the top. They want you to be dumb as shit. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we're going to give you just enough information so we can capitalize on your stupidity. And so it's a cold game out here. It's definitely a cold game. But like I was saying, back to like the Nation of Islam, this is why it's important to I feel like train a black man just sounds so crazy, but just train your mind and get as much knowledge as possible. In chapter 7, W.E.B. gives us another look at places in the South, and he describes chain gangs, a bunch of sharecropping farms. He talks about the disparities of each place. You had some black folk who owned some things, and then you had some who were renting. He talked about how some of these black folk were unjustly thrown in jail just to work on some of these farms. He talked about how some northerners had land down in the South and took their money back up north. You had some farms with black overseers, but in some other areas you had sharecroppers with only Russian Jewish folk working. He pointed pointed out the convict farms, and people weren't happy. When he ran into successful black farmers, they still got hustled and swindled. And then also, okay, so right here is where I kind of pointed out his style of writing this book. I'm seeing a pattern in his writing where he breaks down his feelings about America and policy overall, things he wants to change, and then he just shows us examples and forces the reader to basically see by reading about the issues he talks about. So something that he does, I mean, some may say that he's going all over the place. Some people might like this style of writing, but so it's times where he just straight up calls out some shit, and then it's just straight to the point, and you just like understand it. You like, yeah, okay. Like when he was talking about Booker T, it was straight up, and you knew exactly what he was talking about when he was talking about the Freedmen's Bureau and how history could be um, kind of like misconstrued and fucked up. It was dope. You know what I'm saying? Because he came straight into the topic, and you knew exactly what he was talking about. Even though I with the Booker T, I don't know if I agree with that. But he was pointing out some shit that Booker T probably seen, but at that time you just take what you get. But he also pointed out that not having the spaces for people to have that the opportunity for higher education will be a problem, or it was still a problem or an issue. And so yeah, but like I was saying, like with his style and how he put his stuff together, some people might not like it, some people may love it, but it really shows you. Like, I'm pretty sure if he was able to, let's just say, like, make this, would have been a perfect book for a documentary. Like, this is like documentary style writing. If he was able to get a camera and go throughout the South and just show people how people was living and stuff like that, he probably would have did that. And then his commentary would have been perfect to kind of like lay down what he was saying. But that's kind of how I see this book so far. With chapter 8, it's no really different from chapter 7. We go through more of his thoughts on the treatment of black sharecroppers. He sees that people are leaving the fields, but it seems as if not enough black people are taking advantage of certain opportunities. He thinks it's because they don't like cash. This is what he was saying. They not lazy. They will work. They get up early, but they just don't like money. He said, a white man, on the other hand, will use that excuse. Instead of helping, he will point out the things they do and have and say, is this this is black freedom. And it's crazy because you got a lot of that sounds very Republican today, where you see like, you will see like bunch of black people are, people, activists, coming up with certain issues and stuff about, the hood, how underserved certain shit is. And then they will point back at us and be like, well, this is what y'all created, right? This is what y'all created. But if we go back to the education piece, it's like, shit is so messed up. Education is so high, like it's, so much of this shit is like held back. I mean, people so secretive with the information and the knowledge that people need to know, that you don't even have people that's really willing to help like that. And I mean, AI, like I said earlier, AI is making it easier and making certain things accessible, but now you got to even think, like, is it enough time to really get to that point? If they given a certain equipment, certain things, you got to start thinking, like, is it is this, you know what I'm saying? Is it really enough time to really get what you need and shit like that? It's just some shit to kind of think about. He goes back to the poor black man and says, they may blame their woes on not having proper resources, the right facilities. And he said, both sides have enough info not to see each other's side. Then he goes back to the white folks of the South who has the land they work on, and he said, oh, okay, so, and then you have the white Southerners who have the land that they work on, and he said they wondering why some black people want something different for their lives, and they actually want something they want something different with their lives. Some of them are sulky and dissatisfied with the day labor / sharecropper life, which, I shouldn't have to explain to y'all why people wouldn't want that life, because it's if you know about the sharecropping stuff, it wasn't, even though you was still helping, you were supposedly getting money out of it. A lot of the stuff that they tell us, it wasn't like adequate compensation, and he kind of get into it. He get into the numbers of what's going on, and it's basically bullshit. Then to put the cherry on top for the people that got out of the sharecropping situation, and now you're a renter, right? Whenever the price of cotton went up, the price of rent went up. It's literally a lose-lose situation for the people of that area. So, chapter 7 and chapter 8 is basically like it's crazy. But a lot of this shit is stuff we could look back. We could look to today and you see the same shit going on. So it's just interesting. It's very interesting reading this book. Do I like it? It's like I said, in certain areas it start getting hard to kind of understand what he's saying, because he gets so poetic and he using like crazy big words, like, you know what I'm saying? And, I just want to make sure that I'm getting this information right. And like I said, if anybody come across this video and you actually stayed the 27-30 minutes, here, kind of help me break it down, or just listening to me break it down, please let me know, because I don't, I'm just reading it hoping that I could comprehend it. Some of this stuff, it like chapter 5, man, I was reading that for a few days, damn near a week and a half, just trying to make sure that I'm getting exactly what he's saying. And like I said, it's it could be a task, but yeah, I'm gonna come with different. So that's the review of those 5 through 8 chapters. I'm gonna come with different content too. I'm not just gonna be reading this book, but it was something dope, and like a lot of the things that he's saying pertains to like stuff that's happening today. And so it's a good read. I definitely think if you're a person that's able to like get over the black and white lines and just kind of read it, and then you know what I'm saying, you're able to take, maybe some other races, or just look at the class, shit that's going on in this book, you would be able to take that shit and then like literally just slide it to today, and it'll make a bunch of sense, and you will be able to understand it like that. And that's my review for chapter 5 through 8.